morning. So, what's on your table this morning? If you missed last Tuesday, we learned that like the holy place in the tabernacle where the priest served, our soul is like that in our own life. And on that table of showbread, that is the equivalent of our minds, and Jesus is like the bread of life to us. The whole holy place, the first place, the place where the priests served, is like the same as our soul in terms of the function of our worship of God. And so we're asking ourselves that question: is Jesus on your table this morning? And if he is, I'd like for you to share with me your experience as you've asked yourself that question, not just at devotional time, but throughout the day, like Brother Lawrence. We're sort of like the monks of Brother Lawrence, or the Lawrenceites. Okay, well, anyway, I want us to ask a follow-up question, and that is, how do I feed on Jesus? And so, glad you asked. So I'd like us to look at a passage that's been haunting me for probably the last 2 months at least. And I want to read it in a way that'll haunt you, but not really. I really want it to just be one example of how you can feed on Jesus. So I want us to read this short passage, Luke 14 verses 1 through 6, in the New Living Translation, so that we can put ourselves again in this story at the dinner with Jesus. I call this whole section, Luke 14, 15, maybe even beyond that, as I consider it as portraits Jesus painted of the kingdom. But in these first couple of portraits, these are actual experiences, actual events in Jesus' life, but then the other ones are things that came from that. So let's read. One Sabbath day, Jesus was in the home of our leader. You say, wait, Cliff, that reads the leader of the Pharisees. Well, okay, let me ask you a question. Who would you say that you are somewhat of an expert in religious law? Because that's what the Pharisees were in their day. Maybe not all of you identify yourself that way, but I think most of us Orthodox Christians do somewhat consider ourselves the experts in religious law. So let's put ourselves that much into the story. Well, then, the next verse says, we were watching him closely because we had a man there who was swollen in his legs and arms. Jesus asked us, well, is it permitted in the law to heal people on the Sabbath day or not? They refused to answer. Now I ask, what would you have done? How would you have responded? Would you have said something, or would you have just adopted a wait and see attitude the way that the rest of them did? Well, Jesus responded then by touching the sick man and healing him and sending him away from the rest of this conversation. But he wasn't finished with us. Then he turned to us and asked, which of you doesn't work on the Sabbath if your son, and we might say, or your daughter, falls into a pit? Don't you proceed immediately, at once, to get him or her out? Well, the Message translation concludes this passage with this: there was no answer they could give to that. So I'm going to ask you then to put in the comment section, what do you learn from Jesus as you keep him on the table of your mind in the reflection on this story from his life? I'm looking forward to hearing your answers, and I hope that it won't just be me hearing, but it will be everybody hearing and us sharing what Jesus is putting into our lives as we put him on our tables. Looking forward to hearing from you.